Guys, or good morning, depending on where you are in the world. It's Nick at Optima PS. Thanks for coming back to my channel. It's been a long time since I've done a video. You guys know me. I only really pop up when I think people might want to hear what I've got to say, and normally that's when it's all doom and gloom in the world. So doom but no gloom for me is how I'm going to start this video. Everything's down, as you can see. The world is changing. In fact, the world has changed so much, as many of you will know. I always open my videos with the rotating 3 globe showing the XRP and crypto movement around the world. And I've come on to make my video, and I found out that that site is currently not working. Whether it's closed down for good or it's just not open, I don't know. But you've got different graphics for me today. And what are they showing? They're showing that the world is down in a big way, isn't it? We've had some bad news with CPI data and a bit of inflation worries today. I don't think there's any likelihood that the Fed are going to be reducing rates anytime soon, and the whole world is doom and gloom. For a long time, I've been debating with people whether this is a bear market or whether it's a big correction in a bull market, a midterm pullback, if you like. I'm still not 100% convinced this is a bear market, guys. I'm getting more convinced as time goes by, I must admit, but I'm still not 100% convinced. I think there's still chances we turn around, probably not too far from this position. We'll know very soon, because I think Bitcoin will hit around mid 50s or even low 50s and bounce. I think XRP will hit about 85 and bounce. If it doesn't and it keeps going down, then we know, don't we, at the end of the day? So all things will be made clear very soon. It's an interesting concept, isn't it? Bull market, bear market. I mean, if we go back to the traditional markets, a bear market, we're definitely in one. You know, anything more than about a 10-20% drop, you should be calling a bear market. So realistically speaking, by traditional sense, of course, we're in a bear market, but that's not what we mean when we're in crypto, is it? In crypto, what we mean is the big winter, the 2-year, 3-year downturn. Everybody gets out, everyone's doom and gloom. People are stuck holding coins that they bought way more expensive than the current price. People are desperately trying to get out, don't know what to do because they're going to sell for a huge loss. And I hope you're not in that position. I'm not. I'm in a position like everyone else where I wish I'd sold a little bit more. When we look at the tops back in sort of October last year, I could have got out with, I don't know, 2 or 3 times more money than I currently have in my crypto portfolio. But in the same respect, that wasn't my price. I didn't know this was going to happen to the degree it happened. I thought we'd get a big pullback. I didn't know it would be this. And in the same respect, I don't need my money. If you're diligent about how you invest from the start, then you never find yourself in a position where you are desperate to take money out and can't do so. And that's where I am at the moment. Yes, okay, arguably I could have sold, let the world crash around me, picked the perfect moment and bought 3 times more coins, filled my bags 3 times bigger than they ever could have been, and I'd be telling you all what a wonderful investor I am and how amazing the world is and everything else. It didn't happen because I didn't trust my instincts enough. There are people out there. Blockchain Backer is a guy that I remember. He called the top pretty much at the top. He got an awful lot of abuse for it online, and he took it. He took it on the chin. He told people he thought he was right, and he was right, but he might have been wrong. And other people that at the time were saying he was absolutely wrong, had all the reason in the world to hold conviction in what they thought. And this is the world of investment. The markets go up and down. Markets do what markets do at the end of the day. And we found ourselves in a position where the crypto world is down. What I don't understand wholly is why the crypto world is so far away from every other market. If you look at the tech stocks, if you look at the general markets, they're all hitting all-time highs and crypto is down. I've been in this industry a long time. One thing I do know for a fact is markets don't always make sense. That's what tells me I still expect some kind of rotation into crypto. I think we will hit a price that the world agrees is right and money will start flowing back in. So I'm not sat here panicking, despite the fact that XRP is $1.02. For me personally, I don't need to panic. It's still way above my average buy price. Not gloating, just telling you the truth. You know, I understand why some people out there that bought at $3.50 would be panicking. So I'm not saying you people out there shouldn't be concerned about these markets. I don't know your position. I'm telling you why I'm not. I'm in a position where I bought From 2020, at beginning of 21, really, I averaged all the way down and all the way back to 80 cents was my final buy. In fact, 60 cents was my final buy. And then when it dipped again, I bought at 80 this time. So I'm in a position where I'm not concerned about the price. I would rather it be higher. And I'm not trying to belittle anyone who's out there in a bad position who is concerned about the price. But what I'm saying is time solves all problems. If this is your first crypto cycle, you bought at $3.50, you're now sat there panicking, not knowing what to do, thinking you've ruined your life, give it time. The market will be back. Whether it's back by the end of this year or whether it's back by 2029, I don't know. I personally still think we'll see a good rally towards the end of this year. That's just me. I base it on various things. I look at liquidity cycles around the world. I look at various other things. I don't necessarily believe in the 4-year crypto cycle. I'm not saying it's not true. So far, evidence will suggest it probably is. But I'm a person who's never put an awful lot of weight into that. There's only ever been two 4-year cycles, right? So I think it's far too early to call that a pattern. You could argue there's been 3, but of the gravity we're talking about, the size we're talking about when we refer to the cycles, there's only really been 2 that have sort of moved in that line with Bitcoin. And both of those came along with the business cycle and liquidity cycle. If you don't watch Raoul Paul, go and watch a couple of his videos, and he talks in much more detail about it than me. But what I'm trying to say is we don't know. I don't know is the perfect answer. I'm comfortable both ways round. I had my buy order set at $1.01 on XRP, and we didn't actually get there. It hit about 1.0, about where we are now, 1.02. I think it dipped a little bit more on the wick. I didn't get to buy. I've not changed my buy order. I'm going to see if it hits. If you look at the chart and analysts out there, some people think we're going to instantly turn around now. Some people think we've got a little bit more to go. I think about 85 is my target bottom for XRP. That's when I'll do my big buys. But I did have a buy order set for a couple of $1,000 at $1.01, and I haven't hit it yet. But that's roughly where my mind frame is at. I just wanted to jump on and have this conversation and share some thoughts. And there is, I've been around the block. I'm older than an awful lot of you guys in the space. I'm 45. I've been around for quite a while. I sort of graduated and went straight into investments and finance and the banking world and that kind of thing. So I've seen markets come and go and do this 100 times before. I don't panic the same way everyone else does because I know that markets also turn around. There's sometimes exceptions to that rule. There are some stocks that sometimes disappear forever. There were some cryptos that disappeared forever. It happens. But realistically speaking, if you are in the crypto space with a mixed portfolio, I'm very heavy XRP in my portfolio. Those of you who don't know the channel, that's the crypto that got me into the space. It's the one I have the most belief in long term. So the price of XRP will affect my portfolio much more than other coins I hold. But I do have a big bag. I hold about 45 different coins altogether. And I think one of them may have been a dud. I think one of those coins may disappear this time round. There's been an awful lot of reasons for that. I was relatively bullish on it to begin with, but it was a coin that I always knew was an absolute gamble. It was cookie dough for any of you that are interested, and it's still not gone away. But I'm struggling to find reasons why I think that one might pick up from where it is and see the kind of returns I wanted it to see. But that's what happens in investments. You pick 10, 15, 20 different options, and you go with the ones with the most conviction with your highest portion of your portfolio, and then you pick some outliers that you think might be worth a gamble. This was a gamble coin, and it looks like the gamble may not pay off. I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly okay with that. And we're in a position where if you look at the overall market, everything's down, right? This is coin market cap. We're looking at the last 24 hours. Let's take a look who's the worst. Oh, we've got a couple of positive coins in there. That's a surprise to me, to be honest. I was looking more this way. Meme Core, I don't know what happened with Meme Core today. If I can pull this up for you guys. I actually don't. It's a rug pull, I assume. I can't think of anything else it could possibly be. Meme Core is not a coin I've ever looked at. It's not something I've paid any attention to. But the last 24 hours, have been quite devastating. It was set up there at $2.64, and it went down as low as 48 cents. If we go back and look at that over a longer term, that's a big pull. Is that definitely a rug pull? I don't know. I don't know. I don't even follow the coin. It's just something I noticed when I was going through the charts earlier on. But the markets are down, right? There's not really a lot of good news out there. If we take a look at the news that's come out, even we can take a look at anything, right? The S&P 500 opened with a huge drop. It has slowly recovered a little bit. This is the world we're in right now. We have an awful lot to be excited about in this space. We potentially have news on the Clarity Act coming in the next month. I don't know if that will be approved. I thought it would be approved, but I thought it would be approved a long time before this. Whatever reason, the powers that be don't want it yet, or let's say half of the powers that be don't want it yet. We're in a strange world. I worked in the finance space a long time, and I've always said that crypto will only be allowed to run when the traditional finance big boys are in the game. And by in the game, does that mean having a great big bag that they hold on the balance sheets? Does it mean having the ability to hold for clients? Does it mean needing the utility infrastructure to send and receive money like with XRP with a much lower cost? I always thought we would only get this when they're ready to deliver it, because they don't share. At the end of the day, they don't share the spoils. You can go back and look at any industry in the world. For years and years and years, every car manufacturer was telling you that electric cars are awful, they won't work, they won't help the planet. And then when they'd caught up with the market and they were ready to release their own, suddenly electric cars are wonderful. It's the same thing with crypto. The utility side is going to replace an awful lot of the legacy systems. And until they were in a position to continue to profit from this, they were never going to let it happen. And they've got too many friends in high places. And what I'm saying is it won't happen until they're ready. But I think they're probably ready. I think they're in a position where they can now turn that. I'm not going to say flip the switch. It's a phrase people use too often. I did inverted commas to myself there, sat in a room all by myself, and then realised I'm not on the camera. But it's something that I think when they are ready, they will allow this to go. Until then, they won't. And it's on their time horizon, not anyone else's. Even the president, for as much as he has power to push and nudge and try to move people, he doesn't have ultimate power on things like this. So we're in a strange position where we're waiting for these news articles to come out, for these big news events to happen, to drive the market back where it wants to go. Perhaps they know this is the bear market, and perhaps they don't want to go until they're ready. They're going to use this bear market to gobble up all the coins and then let it go in a year's time. I don't know. Personally, I'm still sitting on the side that either if this is a bear market, it's going to be a more shallow bear market than we've seen before, comparatively speaking. Obviously, when you look at compared to the highs and the lows, percentile base wise, I think it will be more shallow, because if this is a bear market, then last year before was the bull market, and it was the most shallow bull market we've ever had. Yes, we hit record prices, but we didn't hit the prices to the percentile level growth. If you use your Fibonacci's and things like that, we didn't get nearly as high as we expected to go. And I think therefore it would be realistic to assume if this is indeed a bear market, we won't go nearly as low comparatively as we have in the past percentile wise as we would expect to go. That just makes sense to me. So if it is a bear market, I think we're probably closer to the bottom than people think. And if it's a mid-cycle correction, it's one hell of a mid-cycle correction. I'll be honest, it's a very, very big one, very, very deep one. We're seeing a lot of the altcoins come down the best part of 95%. We've seen Bitcoin give or take 70. We've seen XRP give or take 70. There's been an awfully big pullback. So if it's a mid-cycle correction, we're near the bottom. If it's a bear market, bearing in mind it was there for a very short and very small bull market, I would expect a shorter, smaller bear market. So it is doom. Look at the numbers, look at the charts, look at the sea of red everywhere. It's definitely doom, but I'm not going to be giving you any gloom, because I think if we are indeed in what we call a bear market, we're probably a lot closer to the end of it than you think. It might be another couple of months of messing around at these prices, but I think it will then be a quick turnaround again, quicker than before, because for whatever reason, the cycles seem to be speeding up. All these guys that go with a 4-year cycle, I'm not saying you're wrong. If it is a continuation of the 4-year cycle, it's a 4-year cycle that we've never had before. We had Bitcoin pumping before the halving. We had prices not nearly as high as they've hit before. We've had all kinds of different things happen this time round. Could that just be a consequence of the major institutions being involved now with ETFs and hedge funds and your micro sailors, this world, MicroStrategy, all that? Possibly. It could be that the market has changed completely from what we've seen before. Again, that takes me back to, I don't really believe in the 4-year cycle then, because if this is a 4-year cycle but a different one, well, is it even a true 4-year cycle? So that's where I kind of sit with it all. I'll just jump onto a couple of tweets that caught my eye. All from Blockchain Backer. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, I didn't pull up the tweet he put out there, but Blockchain Backer is a guy who, going back to the very, very peak last year, turned around and he said to everybody, I'm selling, I don't fancy it. I'm in a position where I think personally this market is going to go down. And the whole of Twitter, the crypto space online, told him he was wrong. And he was absolutely right. So this is just a couple of things he's come out with in the last few days. Ethereum has hit on-chain losses that are consistent with historical bear market bottoms at 54 million coins in a loss. Interesting. So what he's saying there is that the level Ethereum is at now, 54 million coins are in a loss. And if you look back at historical data, that's consistent with historical bear market bottoms. Interesting. Then we go back. Let me take a look at another tweet. XRP has hit 40.5 billion coins in a loss, which is slightly less than historical bear market bottoms at 43 billion coins in a loss. But either way, we're very, very close to what would be considered, using this indicator, the bear market bottom. And then he does another tweet here, which will appeal to more people because everyone knows Bitcoin. And he says the price history of when 10.5 million Bitcoin went into a loss on chain. And what he points out here is very, very simple. At this point, bottom left corner, 10.5 million. So that was in August 2015. The market immediately rallied. Going to 2018 in December, 10.5 million coins in a loss, the second one on the left. The market immediately rallied. Going to 2022, around March time, 10.5 million coins in a loss, the third one in. The market immediately rallied. And now here we are today, June 26, 10.5 million coins in a loss. Should we expect history to repeat itself identically every time? No. But as the old saying goes, history doesn't repeat, it does rhyme. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a sore throat. I've been traveling an awful lot recently. I think I picked up a bug on a plane. And but what you see there is very, very simple. He's sort of saying, look, we're at the points that historically would have indicated the turnaround in a bear market, in a bull market, from a bear to a bull. Now, of course, what I do want to point out here is that if you look at that first one and then look at the rally that followed, then you look at the second one and the rally that followed, this is the point I'm making. This third one, despite the fact that prices did go higher, you can't see my mouse on the screen, but the prices did go higher, that third big peak you see there. But realistically speaking, this one has been much more subdued than the other bull runs we saw, which is why I think it's possible that the bear market will be more subdued. And if you take a look at these, they've always been a much bigger upward trend than down, much bigger upward trend than down, much bigger upward trend. So is it possible that even though this doesn't look like a bear market bottom, if this is indeed a bear market, the bear market itself will be considerably smaller than other bear markets, because the bull, if this is a bear, that means that was a bull going back to the middle of last year. The bull market, therefore, was a much more subdued one. And that's what I'm kind of saying. I actually think we might decide that this is more of a mid-cycle correction in a few years from now. But we'll only know it when we've seen this turn around and go up, and people can look back at the charts and say, right, now we've charted it all correctly. It wasn't a bear market, it was a mid-cycle correction. Or they might say it was indeed a bear market, and the cycles are getting smaller, the peaks and troughs are getting smaller because more money's coming in, that risk return line is flattening out, and crypto's not going to be what it once was for these huge spikes in the bulls and huge dips in the bears. We're going to see a more leveling off line that starts to go more in line with the stock markets. I don't think we're there yet. I don't know if this is a bear market. I think it's either a short bear market, or I think it's a mid-cycle correction. We will know very soon, because if these prices come tumbling down another 30-40% from here, we've got our answer. If they find support in the next 10-15% and start to turn around, we've probably got a different answer. So that's where we are, guys. I wanted to throw a video out. It's been a long time since I've spoken to you all, so please forgive me for my absence. I only really pop up when I think I've got anything to share and anything to say. And when the world is wonderful and everything's going up, you don't need me. There's 1,000 channels out there. I just like sharing my thoughts at times like this. So if you like what I've got to say, please do like and subscribe to the channel. As ever, I didn't throw my disclaimer out, so I'll throw it out now. I am a financial advisor, but I'm absolutely not your one, so please don't take anything I've said in this video to be financial advice. I don't know you, you don't know me, I don't know the first thing about you. I couldn't possibly give you anything but the worst financial advice in the world. So this is absolutely not financial advice. I'm just a bloke sharing my opinion on the internet in the hope that it might bring you some value. And if it does, please click that like button. I really appreciate it. And that's pretty much all I've got to say, guys. So thank you very, very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Let's speak again soon. All the best. Nick.